Okay, so I'm assuming that you've pulled up the template out of Canvas, and it's going to look like this on the first sheet. It's got the instructions. That's for graphing. What we're going to do now is go to the Data Tables tab down at the bottom of the sheet. If you go down to Data Tables, you'll pull up data tables that look like this. Mine are filled in here. Yours will be empty. So what you need to do is fill in the column 2 of each of the 3 tables. Just column 2. We're going to let Google Sheets calculate column 3 and 4. So go ahead. You should have already done this in class. You tally up your tally marks. You count up your tally marks. Put them in this column and do that for each of your graphs. Once you've done that and you're ready to continue, we will do your calculations. So pause here and then continue when you're ready to finish to do the calculations. Okay, so what we want to do, remember what we did yesterday. Now at time 0, nobody should have anything at time 0. Nothing has happened yet. So we have all 25 bubbles and 100% surviving. We haven't started anything. All right, but at 1 second, how did we do this? Remember that we took this number, subtracted this number, and came here. This number subtracted by 5, subtract 5, gives this number. So we're going to tell Google Sheets to do that. We're going to hit equal, click on the cell above, minus the cell on the side, enter. Once I do that, I can pull this all the way down. And there I have my total number surviving at this age. Now we're going to turn this into a percentage. A percentage is just a part over the whole. The whole is 25. 25 total bubbles. The percentage is whatever is in here divided by 25 times 100. So I'm going to do equal, parenthesis, 25, or this cell, this cell divided by 25 times 100, enter. I'm going to autofill that, and that gives me my whole graph. Okay, now once I get to 0, I'm pretty much done with that. So what you need to do now is you need to go through and do that for each of your other 2 graphs. Once you do that, you'll be ready to graph them, and that's going to be our next step. So pause the video, go through the math for each one, and then you can continue the video to graph. So what we want to do now is we want to graph this column versus this column. So that means that we've got a problem in that normally we would do this, but that puts these in the middle. We don't want to do that. So we need to tell Google to be very specific about what columns that we actually are graphing. So what you're going to do is you're going to highlight this column. So I'm going to highlight all the way to the bottom. And then you're going to hold the control key down while you're highlighting this column. Like that, okay? Once I do that, now I can graph these 2. So I'm going to go up here to Insert, Chart, and that gives me this graph here. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so what we want to do next now is we want to add these 2 tables onto the same graph. Now, if you look at them, you can see that the x-axes are all the same. Age at death, age at death, age at death. What's different is the last column. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on Chart Editor, and I'm going to do Edit Chart. I'm going to pull this over a little bit so you can see. I'll pull the graph over like this so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Like this. What we're going to do is we're going to come over. Here's our x-axis. I'm in setup. Here's our x-axis. We're going to keep that the same, but we're going to add a series to the y-axis. And so what we're going to do is we're going to tell Google, I want this column added to this graph. So you click here, and you give it the range. So the range is to highlight and make blue this column. I hit OK, and you should see another graph on your paper. We're going to add another one. We're just going to add this one. So we're going to add a series, go here, click on it, and go from there, hit OK, and there are my 3 graphs. All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to leave it at that for now. Once you have this, however, you've got to create a legend for your graph, right? So I know that my blue one for me, and you double click it twice, was population number 1. The red one was population number 2. And the yellow one was population number 3. That allows me to make sure that I know which one is which. And so when you look at this, we've basically created semblance of a survivorship curve. Now, one thing we can do is we can use a logarithmic scale to do this, but we're just going to leave it like this for now. We've got our nurture babies here. Here we've got our in-between and our R-selected babies here. So once you've finished this, go ahead and you can just leave your graph in the middle here, and then go in and submit your